Hey there, YouTube land.
Big Dave here. So I thought today what I would talk about is what you can learn from a teaspoon. And this is just a common teaspoon. Now, I think the best kind to use in this exercise is one that just has a flat handle on it, not one that's like decorated or too skinny. And also one that's not too pointed here. You know how some teaspoons, they have like
Edges and stuff like that. Just a normal teaspoon that's
kind of has a curve to it, kind of like this. Anyway, so what I'd like to do is tell you about the saxophone and even the clarinet embouchure in relation to this teaspoon. And I had thought about this previously. This is not something just new that I came up with, but I haven't used this concept too much. And I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll try talking about it this way, because there are a number of things you can actually learn from this teaspoon. First of all, when you're playing, the thing that has the contact with the lower lip, of course, is the reed. You can almost kind of pretend that this part of the teaspoon is the reed. So if I was to put that on my lip and just place it on the lip, and I can slightly roll it out and slightly roll it in. Okay, and what's happening is, as I move it, I can feel my lower lip just kind of gliding over the lower teeth. I'm not biting into my lower lip or anything like that. I just feel the lower teeth having contact with the lip. So here, I'm moving it just very slightly, and I can feel how it feels, the sensation as it goes over the teeth. Now, if I was to close the rest of my mouth right over that, just put that in, and just close my mouth, don't do anything else. And then I can do the same thing. I can roll it in a little bit and roll it out just to feel what it, how the sensation of moving the lower lip while the rest of the mouth is kind of still. Now, if I pull out too far and the spoons end up on my teeth, that's no good. I should just be able to very slightly or lightly feel the teeth underneath the lip. And even if I push on it, but I don't want to squeeze down. Now, if I start biting down on this, the whole mask of the face changes. Like, you know, the corners bunch in, and then all of a sudden you have other muscles that are, I don't want to say overreacting, but they're tightening up. So once I have the spoon in, I should be able to just have the spoon held loosely in my mouth, just snug enough to where the spoon is not going to fall out. And there's nothing else really happening there. If I'm tightening down on that spoon, where I can barely move it in and out of my mouth, if you're doing that with your instrument, you know, that's where you're getting this tension up on the sides of the reed and squeezing them up against the edges of the mouthpiece, and then you're really only blowing on that center of the reed. Now, let's take the teaspoon and turn it around. If I put this in my mouth again, against the lower lip, and just close my mouth, what's happening is the lower lip is quite flat across. And if anything, the edges of the spoon are kind of holding the corners back slightly, which is kind of like what you want to try to do when you're actually playing. Now, it's hard to do that because you don't have some kind of physical object that's holding, the lip flat and the corners down. If you put this in your mouth the other way and you try to hold it in there, and all of a sudden everything's going to kind of curl up. You can see these other muscles are involved now. All of a sudden this is involved, the face is changing. You have a new, your mask, your facial mask is changing. Again, there are a lot of ways to do this, but that's something that I don't teach. And when I studied years ago in New York with some of the great teachers, including, Joe Allard, now his concept was that your facial mask should be pretty much relaxed. It wasn't where you were making any kind of pinching or raising or squeezing of the corners or anything like that. And on the clarinet, when we practiced the 12ths and moved the mouthpiece very slightly in and out, now that was just one of his concepts. You could talk to other people that studied at the time, and they have other things that they did. So, but on the clarinet specifically, when we were practicing like the 12ths or the overtones, we would move the mouthpiece slightly in and out to get the different overtones. And that was the concept, But here, we were practicing keeping this kind of flat and not squeezing up the corners. Because once you squeeze up the corners and you're pushing the reed up into the edges of the mouthpiece, it's kind of counterproductive. So, I don't want to go on and on too much about this, but it just gives you something to think about. So, if the spoon is upside down, and you actually blow into if you blow air, your tendency is to tighten all this up to seal up and have that sensation. If you turn this around, you can put air pressure and blow against the spoon, almost to blow it out of your mouth. All right, but it's not really moving because it's already secured in there. But this is more flat, and part of the reason is that the edges of the spoon are holding the lip down this way, and it's not allowing it, like when it's in this way, for the lip to come and curl up around the spoon. So I hope this is something to give you something to think about, and that it's helpful. Again, you want to try to have this, visualize this in your mind while you're practicing. You can, of course, practice with the spoon, and you don't want to hold the spoon too tightly. Just enough so that it's not going to fall out of your mouth. Another thing too is with the spoon in this way, that little center, which some teachers called like the action point. It's where the heart of the reed is, and it gives you this little slight pressure right in the center of the reed, and it can give you a tremendous amount of focus in your tone when you can focus and concentrate, learning how to just activate that center of the reed, the heart,
while the rest is
allowed to vibrate around it. Okay, so anyway, that's it for today. It's Sunday, and you know what? It's really nice out, so I'll be going outside in a little while, and I'm not going to stay in here. Have a great day, and enjoy the weekend.